It started with a knock. Not the doorbell, not someone pounding, just a soft knock, like the kind someone gives when they're trying not to wake a baby. It was Easter morning and I was alone in my place. Small, two-bedroom rental just outside Knoxville. Name's Mark Hanley, by the way. 32 at the time. I'd just moved in about 3 weeks earlier. Quiet neighborhood, mostly families, a few retirees, maybe one or two other guys renting like me. You know how people are in these suburban pockets? Polite, but distant. Everyone keeps to themselves. Anyway, that knock woke me up around 6:45 a.m., which already felt weird. I had nothing planned, no guests, no family nearby. My girlfriend Lena had broken things off a month before. Easter wasn't exactly a priority. I figured it might be a package or some neighbor needing something. When I opened the door, there was no one there, just an Easter basket, neatly wrapped in clear cellophane, purple ribbon, and a little card that just said, "Happy Easter, enjoy." No name, no address, not mine, not anyone's. Now at first, I didn't think much of it. I assumed it was a mix-up. Maybe a neighbor left it for their grandkid and got the house wrong. I even walked a couple houses down both ways to check if anyone was out. Nobody. I brought the basket inside and set it on the counter. Here's where it started to feel off. The candy wasn't the usual store-bought stuff. It was homemade. You could tell. Hand-dipped chocolates, cookies in little plastic wrap pouches, pastel jelly beans dumped straight into the grass at the bottom. There was something oddly intimate about it, like someone put actual effort into this. That should have been sweet, but instead, it made me uncomfortable. Because who would go to that kind of effort and just drop it off anonymously? Still, I left it alone and made coffee. About 20 minutes later, I got a text from a local number I didn't recognize. No name attached, it just said, "Glad you got your gift, let me know what you think." No emojis, no signature. That's what really got me. If it had ended with a smiley face, maybe I could have brushed it off as some mistaken number, but it felt direct, intentional. I replied with a simple, "Who is this?" No response. I sat with that basket on the counter for hours. I didn't open it, didn't touch the candy. I don't know if it was paranoia or gut instinct, but something told me not to. Later that afternoon, I walked around the neighborhood again. The weird part? I saw similar baskets on a couple other porches, families with kids. But theirs had little tags with names. To Emma, or to Carson, probably from grandparents or some Easter egg group. Mine was the only one with no name, and when I looked again at mine, the tag was gone, like physically missing. I still don't know how or when. That night, around 9:30, I was watching TV with all the lights on. I hadn't told anyone about the basket. Didn't really feel like a story yet. But I kept thinking about that text. Let me know what you think. Then another message. Same number. You didn't try anything yet? No punctuation, just flat, like someone stating a fact. At that point, I texted back, "Who is this? Why'd you leave that basket?" This time the response came quicker. "It's something I do. You looked like you needed it. I read that about a dozen times. You looked like you needed it." I felt cold. I went outside, walked around my house, checked every side window, even peeked down the street. It was quiet, but not the peaceful kind. I couldn't explain it. But I knew someone had been watching me. Maybe still was. And here's the kicker. I don't even remember closing the blinds, but when I walked back in, they were all halfway down. Not fully, just enough that you'd have to stoop to see out. I stood there staring at them for maybe 5 minutes. Felt like longer. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, the basket was gone. That's not a figure of speech. It wasn't on the counter, not in the trash. I even checked the backyard in case it somehow got blown out there. Nothing. And then I got another message. "Don't worry, I'll bring another one next year. That's it. No more texts after that." Number eventually deactivated. I had it traced later. Burner phone. Nothing traceable. A week later, I got home from work and found a single jelly bean sitting on the middle of my welcome mat, wrapped in plastic, same kind that was in the basket. That was when I moved. Didn't tell my landlord why, didn't even stay the full month. I boxed up my stuff and left, took the hit on the lease. And here's the part that really bothers me. Even now, a few years later, when Easter's coming up, I get this feeling like I'm being watched again. It never lasts more than a day, and nothing ever happens. But I feel it, like someone's waiting, quietly. I didn't do anything to deserve it. I didn't provoke anyone. I was just there. And maybe that's what makes it worse. Because whoever it was didn't want to hurt me. They wanted me to know they could. You ever catch something out of the corner of your eye and just know something's wrong? That's how this started. My name's Aaron Becker. I was 29 when this happened, living in a small town outside of Tallahassee, Florida, place called Woodpine. Not much to it. Gas stations, a couple churches, one decent diner, that kind of place. People don't really move in or out. You're either born there or you marry someone who was. I was renting the second unit of a duplex at the edge of town. It backed up against a wooded lot that hadn't been developed in years. It wasn't exactly creepy, just quiet. Too quiet sometimes. That Easter, I didn't have any plans. My mom had passed the year before, and my brother Jacob was working double shifts up in Atlanta. It didn't bother me. Quiet holidays were normal for me by then. I remember it was warm for April. I'd slept in a bit, then made coffee, sat on the little front step with my mug and just listened. You don't hear much in Woodpine. Maybe the distant sound of a chainsaw or someone's lawnmower kicking on. But that morning, I saw a man, and not in a way that would normally bother me. He wasn't doing anything illegal. He was just there, standing across the street, early 50s, maybe 60, big frame, short gray hair, pale polo tucked into jeans. He was holding one of those old red coolers by the handle, the kind people took to soccer games in the 90s. He was just standing there, not moving, not shifting his weight, like he'd been standing there a long time. I looked down for half a second, and when I looked back up, he was gone. No sound, no footsteps, just not there. Now, normally, I'd brush something like that off. Maybe I blinked longer than I thought. Maybe he ducked behind one of the trucks on the side of the street, but there was no place to go. It was just a field and a row of shrubs behind him, wide open. It didn't sit right with me, but I shook it off, went inside, and didn't think much of it. Until later that afternoon. That's when I found something on the front step. Not an Easter basket, not a card. Just an item. A hard-boiled egg. No color, no cracks, perfect white shell, sitting upright in the exact center of my doormat. At first I thought maybe some kid was playing around, hiding eggs, forgot one. But there weren't many families with little kids in that area. Most were older couples or guys like me renting by themselves. I bent down to pick it up, and that's when I noticed something written on the shell. In blue ink, just one word. Wait. Not in cursive, not in all caps, just printed, neat, centered. I don't know why it rattled me the way it did, but I remember standing there holding that egg, thinking, is this for me? I cracked it open. Inside it looked normal, just egg. But the message, it felt like it had weight to it, like someone knew I'd be alone, knew I'd see it. That night, I locked the doors early. I'm not the paranoid type, but something about the silence outside made me nervous. The kind of nervous you can't shake, even when you tell yourself it's nothing. Around 2 a.m., I got up to use the bathroom. That's when I heard a metallic clink outside. Not loud, just a soft scrape, like plastic dragging against concrete. I looked out the front window. There he was again. Same man, same red cooler. This time he was closer, standing directly at the bottom of my front step, facing the door, not looking at me, not moving. He just stood there. I didn't open the door. I didn't even move. I watched him through the blinds, hands shaking, waiting for him to knock, or leave, or anything. But he didn't. He stood there for maybe 5 minutes, then calmly turned around and walked back toward the woods. No car, no flashlight. Just walked straight into the trees with that cooler in his hand. I barely slept. The next morning, I checked the front step. There was another egg. This one had a different word on it. Soon. That's when I called the sheriff's office. Look, I know how this sounds. Random guy, no crime committed, no threats, no trespassing, technically. But when I told them about the man with the cooler and the eggs, the deputy didn't even try to hide the smirk. Said I probably got pranked by some local teenagers. I could tell the guy was trying not to laugh. That night, I kept every light in the house on, slept on the couch, no knocks, no eggs. But around 3:30 a.m., I heard footsteps, not in the front, behind the house. The window above the kitchen sink faces the backyard, and I swear, I heard the sound of someone walking on dead leaves, one slow step at a time. I turned off the lamp, crept to the back door, and peeked out through the curtains. I didn't see him at first. But the cooler, it was there, set down neatly on the back porch just outside the screen door. I didn't go out there. I couldn't. I stayed frozen until sunrise. When the sun finally came up, I stepped outside. The cooler was still there. I opened it. Inside were 6 hard-boiled eggs lined up perfectly. Each one had a word written on it. I see you from inside now. I swear I couldn't breathe. There was nothing else in the cooler. No fingerprints, no smudges. It looked almost staged, like it was meant to be opened, meant to be read. I called the sheriff again. This time, they sent someone. The deputy walked around, checked the woods, asked the usual questions. You sure you didn't see a vehicle? Any idea who might do this? But here's the part that stuck with me most. When I showed him the eggs, he went quiet. Then he asked if he could take a photo. I said, sure. And then I asked him something. I said, have you seen this before? He didn't answer. He just said, if anything else happens, give us a call right away. He took the cooler with him. I never got it back. A week later, I moved out. 2 months after that, I looked up the property on a whim on one of those real estate sites. It was listed again. Brand new listing. No mention of previous renters. But I recognized something in the background of one of the photos. On the front porch, off to the side, barely visible. That same red cooler, just sitting there, waiting.